Pika. We want to make it well. We want to make it well. Make it well. We want to make it well. We want to make it well. Oh, kind of we want to make it well. So go ajamo well. So go ajamo well. Ajamo well. We want to make it well.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm Alfonso Dieyan of the Liberian Public Radio and LPR TV to welcome you to today's editions of All Things Considered here from the New England Bureau. I want to welcome good friends, the Councillor James Vridiot. Hopefully one day so we're going to tap into your expertise and tough talking Unity Party George Lobo is also in the house at Eman Taboto. Today we're going to be entering the diplomatic enclave, what it means to be a special envoy at the Ecowas, as well as special envoy at Ecowas, and as well as a special ambassador, former government officials. I'm talking about Dr. Willem Dieyan Towah will be my guest here this afternoon. Special Liberian ambassador to Ecowas. He's going to be joining me here late this afternoon here in this editions of All Things Considered. Stay tuned. I'm Alfonso Dieyan of the Liberian Public Radio and LPR TV. We'll be right here with you. All right, folks, welcome. I'm Alfonso Dieyan of the Liberian Public Radio and LPR TV. My guest is already here. What a difficult task here this evening. I'm here. We're going to go into the diplomatic enclave, what it means to be a diplomat, true son of Grand Gidet in the Republic of Liberia. How am I going to do this here this afternoon? Someone who was once upon a time your boss, and you're going to sit here behind the microphone. What's the question going to be like here this evening? Dr. Willem Towah, good evening. Are you there?
Good evening, Alfonso. I'm here.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's set the stage here to all our viewers and listeners in Radio Land. If you are following us in Liberia, right here in the USA, welcome. Councillor James Vridiot, Tough Talking George Lobo, Ato Dweji from inside Liberia. I want to welcome you to this program here. What we do here at LPR, we kind of like twist the boy all of the time. We're going to go into the diplomatic enclave. This is a true son of Liberia with extensive credentials. Happens to be formerly my own boss. I must acknowledge that at the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication. But Dr. Willem Towah is a distinguished Ecowas Diplomat, currently serving as the Director of Administrations and Finance at Ecowas. What a huge task. In Abuja, by the way, it's in Nigeria. He's a Liberian, he's a Grenadian, senior consultant, policy advisor for African Central Elections and Governance in Accra, Ghana. Oh my goodness, you are perfectly suited here this evening here. We're going to talk both national, regional, and of course your own native land, counted Grenadier. The senatorial race, remember, is ahead, right? So we're going to do this here. Dr. Towah, welcome, former acting Minister of Agriculture, Deputy Minister at the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication, Finance, Debt Management. My goodness. Let's just stop it right there. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, my dear brother.
Okay. All right. It's good to have you here. Thank you for honoring our invitation here. We always like to spice it out here, right here at Liberia Public Radio. Please don't blame me. While we are doing that, we learned it from you guys. There was a lot learned from you when I was at the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication when you were then serving as the minister, Deputy Minister for the administration. All right. Let's get the ball rolling. It's 2:32 p.m. Eastern Time. I am not good at introduction. Probably I left some good pieces and some good puzzles out, but it's good for the audience to hear it from the house's mouth. Who is Dieyan Towah, Dr. Dieyan Towah?
Well, thank you, Alfonso. Well, it's going to be hard to introduce yourself because as a public figure, after the information that's out there. But quickly, well, I'm a public servant. For the most part of my life, I've been in the public service. I served Liberia in various capacities, as you mentioned. Right now, I'm serving with Ecowas, still serving humanity. And I believe this is my calling. I could have gone into private sector, but I've been in the public service. And I'm honored to have been able to contribute towards the building of our nation, the global world community, and now serving our sub-region. It's a pleasure.
All right. Board of directors for so many organizations, Agriculture Bank, ACDB, it's too much.
LPMC, chairman of the LPMC.
It's
FDA, chairman of the board, and all of that, yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right, we're going to get into that here, but what is important here for us to share with the listening audience what it looks like here. Let me start off here. What it means for the true son of Liberia to be. Is this the first time Liberians occupying these positions as with ECOWAS, or especially the position you're currently serving?
Yes, right now within ECOWAS, I am at the professional level, that is, people who went through a competitive process to join ECOWAS. I am the ranking official from Liberia. Of course, from time to time, Liberian government has the opportunity to nominate people directly, and those are tenure positions. But my role, I joined ECOWAS through a competitive process, and I'm there until I either resign, retired, or, until I can leave at my own will and pleasure.
At our own will and pleasure. Walk me through here what it means for a countryman son from the southeastern side, a Liberian, in its totality to occupy such a high-profile position with ECOWAS, with your offices in Abuja. What it means?
Well, I think it's an honor, and during our crisis, ECOWAS played a very important role in Liberia that brought the situation to a halt, and now we are enjoying peace in our homeland. And so I think it's also important that we join ECOWAS in leadership position to help with that regional body or sub-regional body to fulfill its mandate to deliver to the people of our sub-region, for the common good of the people of our sub-region, in every aspect of development, be it good governance, infrastructure development in the sub-region, creating an enabling environment that will make our youth to stay on the continent, to avoid putting their lives in harm's way, some going through the Atlantic Ocean, through Libya, other places, going to into concentration camp and being sold and all of those things. So the role of ECOWAS and our role to help to contribute towards the well-being of our sub-region, I think it's a pride, and I'm honored to be given the opportunity to serve our people at this time.
Is Liberia still on the docket? Is conversation still on a high scale on the future of Liberia at the highest level? Without going into details, maybe it be a classified. You out there, what are your ECOWAS colleagues? What are they saying? Saying what is happening and what we experienced in the last 15 years of senseless war in my own context here. What are some of the things that you hear on the high table there?
So let me digress a little, Brother So, and to mention, to indicate here that the views expressed here on this platform or on this in this interview are purely mine and represent those of William Towah, Dr. William Towah, period. And views expressed do not reflect on ECOWAS and any other organization that I work for. Now, well, Liberia is a critical component of the ECOWAS establishment. And Liberia sits at a high table of decision making for ECOWAS. And that includes Liberian citizens who work within ECOWAS. Rightly, we have been able to, ECOWAS itself, to metamorphose from the ECOWAS of state to the ECOWAS of people. What that means is that the direction of ECOWAS now will be focused on the well-being of the people of the sub-region and not state and not government as such. So what it is that we're in, the question that always pop up is that in the respective member state, the government or respective member states, questions are being asked. What are you doing to make sure the well-being of your citizens, your respective citizens, are addressed, to avoid civil strife, coup, counter-coup, social political disturbances that undermine growth and development, thereby affecting the well-being of the future of the younger generation. And you will recall, towards this end, ECOWAS has worked tremendously to assuring the abrogation of coups. ECOWAS has declared and has stood by that declaration to say that any military coup would not be honored, would be denounced by ECOWAS. And ECOWAS stood by that. And so for the past couple of years now, people try to test the resolve of ECOWAS, and I'm sure the consequence speak for itself. And so our sub-region has been peaceful in terms of military takeover. At least we have a peace of mind. That would enable governments through the civil political process for the people to elect their own government and then to begin to work with their governments to make sure that good governance practices are put into place by strengthening governance institutions in the member states so that they can deliver appropriately, efficiently, and effectively. However, are we there? The question is no. Are we making progress? The answer is yes. What are some of the progress of that ECOWAS, with the help of ECOWAS by member states that have been made? Number one, as I mentioned, coup, wherein men and women that are ill-prepared, seizing power overnight and subjecting the country into failure or to failed states that have been abrogated. The second thing is, what can we do to strengthen governance institutions in member states, the courts, the legal system, if you will, the security system, the infrastructure in particular? How can the states' security work together for the common good of the population of the sub-region? Enhancing trade and commerce in member states, where in market women, people who want to make business, they can move freely across member states' borders without hindrance, so that by enhancing trade, their quality of lives will be improved and they will be able to take care of the children, and then they'll be able to have economic power to support the younger generation. All of these things are all in the ballpark. We are making progress, still some work desire. Also, let me state it clearly. ECOWAS has also been concerned because there is this migration from rural to urban. What can be done so that the people can stay in their respective localities so that they can use their resources to buttress growth and development in the respective locale in the member states? We realize that the goodness of life are concentrated in the major cities, the capitals of respective countries. What are those things that are required to be done in member states that will make population that will discourage population displacement to the capital or to the member states capital, so they can stay in the area to harness development in the various locales? We realize that power is very essential, electricity, very essential, communication, roads infrastructure. So what ECOWAS has been working with member states to do is to harness rural electrification, which of course I'm sure if you visited Liberia recently, you'll see from Cote d'Ivoire, through the border towns of Danande, through play into Nimba, Grand Jide, and the current coming slowly to central Liberia, and then through to northeastern Liberia to Sierra Leone. That's the ECOWAS project. From Grand Jide, will slide downward to River G, Maryland, Grand Cru, Sindo, and throughout the country, the rural parts. The next thing is road. Roads projects are very capital intensive, and connecting the countries, the ECOWAS sub-regional countries, is very, very essential. And so this cannot be left to the countries alone. So ECOWAS has been involved to harness collective resources to tackle the rural connectivity situation. Why it is that countries are being encouraged to make sure internally to improve roads so that those roads will result to sub-regional road connectivity. So what it means is that if Liberia's roads are improved, the major hub are improved. Say, for example, from Monrovia, Ganta, Zwedru, if you will, Harper, and then going towards the border area from Ganta through Sanikole and then to Kample, and then Jide through to town to the border there, and then Zwedru through to Harper and then to Plibo, through Plibo to Harper and then to the border. So when these roads are done, they all contribute towards the sub-regional road connectivity. And so when Liberia has an interest, and that is brought to the ECOWAS attention, ECOWAS work with Liberia to make sure that they undertaking that facilitate this process. The road, the sourcing the funding to attract the road construction initiative. ECOWAS draw keen attention towards the direction. So right now, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
So there are so many things being done.
Yeah, it's good we talk this yet because we always hear ECOWAS, and we want to know what ECOWAS. Other people just think it's just all about peacekeeping or ECOWAS. Yeah, but quickly, how was this initiated? This was not the case in the 80s. I believe. How was this initiated? How this whole idea? What did the regional leaders realize to make a compelling case to solidify their position in this direction? What was how that came about?
Well, ECOWAS is a dynamic institution. ECOWAS has its own strategic orientation, and also by ECOWAS attracting the best minds in the sub-region. And because why it is one thing that ECOWAS has embarked upon over the past 7 to 10 years is that to recruit the best minds in the sub-region. Because ECOWAS will not tell government, you are failing your people. When ECOWAS itself is inept, does not have the capacity. So the first thing that ECOWAS has embarked upon over the past 7 to 10 years has been to build its own capacity with the best minds in the sub-region. And that, I believe, ECOWAS has successfully implemented. And so with the best minds coming together, the minds of the ECOWAS embodiment was able to design what is the best approach, what is the blueprint that can be implemented to make sure that the desired objective of our people, because ECOWAS consider its citizens, the over almost 400 million people, their well-being.
That's huge.
Oh, yes. I mean, 350 to 400 million people, the population is better served in all aspects of the quality of life. And so ECOWAS embarked upon a strategic initiative. And to do that, ECOWAS thought to revisit its mandate. And by revisiting the mandate means that to bring on board those things that when ECOWAS engaged with will facilitate the delivery of the core values for which the quality of life of the people of the sub-region will be improved. And so that's what resulted to the slogan, ECOWAS of people. ECOWAS of people. Yeah, so everything else navigated towards the people.
If I had to get a history right here, ECOWAS are the 16 countries in the West region constitute the ECOWAS, correct? 16?
Yes, there are 15 countries right now because one of the countries opted out, Mauritania opted out. So we have 15 countries right now.
Okay, 15. So this is not meant to put you in a place here, but I'm concerned here in terms of subsidy. ECOWAS, it constitutes different countries here. So you within the hierarchy here, are these countries making the financial contribution to the organization? Because whatever subsidy comes from ECOWAS to get these things in place, it involves cash, huge sum of money, peacekeeping, building security, and all of that. Are these various countries making financial contribution to ECOWAS?
Yes, sure. Countries of the 15 embodiment all contribute towards towards funding ECOWAS, and ECOWAS has a very unique funding regime, wherein certain percentage of commodities that are imported from abroad, are taxed a percentage, and that percentage is surrendered to ECOWAS. So what ECOWAS is doing is that ECOWAS is more encouraging local production, creating factory industry in member states. So only goods that are imported from outside the sub-region are taxed a percentage.
Okay. So a little bit to dive into that. I'm curious, these countries, the contribution varies or is kind of proportional to everybody the same or what? Or depends on the status of your country?
Well, these are public information. I can go into that. The contribution varies depend on the volume of import from abroad, outside the sub-region. Okay. So the more you import,
the more
the tax is computed.
Okay, because the more something more money come in here.
That's right.
Let me touch on this critical part here. The consolidations of these regional leaders to come to an understanding. I know how I surmise it was a huge argument, putting the stop to this sort of a military junta taking power overnight, subjecting people like you alluded. How tough was that to come to such a consensus?
No, I mean, in fact, nearly all the countries, the leaders and, from the head of states, presidents, and coming down to representation of the respective countries, they are all convinced that the status quo had to change because the states needed to be stable. I mean, they'll be stable because where there's stability, I mean, good governance, I mean, combined with stability, system stability, will bring about a sustainable development. In fact, I wrote on that. If you can Google William Towah, I mean, I wrote several articles about
a lot of extensive writing articles, peace, preserve peace, stability, even in your own country, Liberia, good governance, stability, sustainable development, and all of that. We are gradually leaving ECOWAS, and we're going to be going to your own motherland, Liberia, and later on, we're going to transition on a regional level what is playing out now in the politics war in the county of Grain, Jide.
But before we go, please, let me just say something quickly before we leave ECOWAS.
Okay.
So besides what I've just mentioned, the engagement of ECOWAS also has what we call the Ecowas Health Organization. Wow, West African Health Organization. You know, we had the Ebola situation. Ecowas, through the Ecowas West African Health Organization, engaged massively. As a result of that, even Ecowas now has what we call the Ecowas CDC. So you see one reason why the situation in West Africa is being carefully monitored, because Ecowas has several structures in place to harness good practices to better serve the people of our sub-region. And finally, before just to conclude on the Ecowas stage, not only did Ecowas harness stability in terms of not allowing coups in member countries, but Ecowas also realized that there are issues that foment instability in the member countries. The issue of the rule of law and justice system in the member states. So ECOWAS created the ECOWAS Court of Justice, which primarily based on human rights abuses. So if I'm in Liberia and my rights are being trampled on by the government, by the sitting government, I have a recourse. And so where there is recourse, it brings ease of mind, where to breaking away from the past, where if a government or the regime in a particular country condemns you, then every option is closed.
You are sitting on that court, correct?
I'm not sitting in the court, but I work within that court.
You work within the court. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, this is quite interesting. Then I think we're going to do a little bit brush out that just to give our audience a sense. Now, it's quite fascinating hearing ECOWAS have the sort of health intervention aspect or unit within here too. How are they dealing with this deadly virus now? It's now one member state. It's not two member states. Approximately, if I could get it right, all of the ECOWAS countries are immersed with this coronavirus. Is there any intervention on the part of ECOWAS? Because these countries dealing with their own, health issue as well. So is ECOWAS intervening now? The health sector of ECOWAS, are they making any intervention?
Yeah, sure. They may not send doctors as such, but policy-wise, comparing those, sharing ideas, providing advices to member states is ongoing. That I know, because even though, let me just mention myself, I've been caught up here in the US where I can visit my family. For the past 4 months I've been here, but I've been monitoring the situation in the sub-region. So ECOWAS is engaged with all the member states. So anything concerning health policy in the sub-region, from the WHO, when it comes down first, the ECOWAS Health Organization analyzes it and to make sure those policies coming out from the global world community are unique in the ECOWAS sub-region, and then those communications filter down to the respective member countries. Remember, the core engagement here is that all citizens of ECOWAS are considered in view of ECOWAS as one citizen, one people, and one destiny. So while ECOWAS is working to ensure the health system is harmonized for the good of the sub-region, there are other areas that ECOWAS is also working. Education, to harmonize educational policy, where if you have a degree in Nigeria, maybe you're a doctor in Nigeria, when you go to Liberia, you can practice. You have a degree in education, you go to Nigeria, or you go to Ghana, or you go to Sierra Leone, or you go to Senegal, that degree will be honored to practice in a particular area. ECOWAS is engaged in all of these areas. So in the phase of ECOWAS, the member states and the citizens of member states are considered one people from the same region, working for the same purpose, to improve the quality of life of the people of the sub-region.
Okay. You talk about ECOWAS court. Your country, my country, Liberia, was engaged into a deadly civil crisis, which ECOWAS itself, member states, there were a great intervention in the process. Many Liberians, yes, are dissenting views on this war crime, economic crime, and what have you. Is that discussions within the cycle of the ECOWAS code as well, you think?
Well, so, the role of the court does not go out to seek cases. The court is there, and the court is there with its mandate. And so if there is a particular issue that falls within the mandate of the court, it becomes the responsibility of the aggrieved party, of citizens of the respective member countries, to say, well, considering the prevailing situation in this area, we have a court, and if the court has a domain in a particular area, let's say, for example, the issue of the that you mentioned concerning this human rights court. I mean, how do you call that?
The war crime.
The war crime court, for example. Well, the first thing is that we have to see whether that the court has a mandate in that area. So if the court has a mandate, then of course the court will be sitting there, but the people have to take the matter to the court. So what I can say here is that while it is true that Ecowas is the Ecowas, that people in Ecowas work to create the governance structure that work along with the member states, also individual citizens have the right, when they are aggrieved, to draw the attention of Ecowas institution. In fact, Ecowas have 5 distinct institutions that have domain in respective areas. We have the Ecowas Court, we have the Ecowas Parliament, we have the Ecowas Health, we have the Ecowas Anti-Money Laundering, we have the Ecowas Commission, and so we have so these are the 5 institutions of Ecowas. Besides, we have other sub-institutions, and other, that work in specific domain, electricity in other areas. So what needs to be done is that citizens of the respective countries, now that they are aware that ECOWAS has institutions that address specific areas, they have to see if the governments are failing in these areas. How can ECOWAS come in to secure the fundamental human rights? Because the ECOWAS Code, the primary goal is on human rights. So we need to study that in the armpit of the issue that you raise. And if ECOWAS Code has the authority, then of course the citizen can come to seek redress at the ECOWAS Code. Also, if there are any issue, the court is there, can be consulted by citizens. If they have an issue that the government is not addressing, of course they can consult the court. The court can, other operators of the court can advise whether or not that matter can be brought to the court. But whatever it is that there are institutions that work with member states, the government, as well as the people, to ease tension, to ease frustration, to give hope, and to provide direction for the common good of our people, to avoid distress, subjection, no hope, and the only option is the result of violence. ECOWAS is working to discourage that.
Okay, wow. All right. Now I got an insight of ECOWAS. You used to work in government. You transition more or less in a different sector, which of course I know is not a strange thing for me. But how was that transition, leaving from government and going on that? How was it transitioned?
Well, thank you, Mr. So. When I returned from the U.S. in 2006 after the elections, I was doing some teaching with this Emeritus University called guest lecturership. And I spoke with my colleagues that, look, my country just had elections, and so I want to go back home to help with the reconstruction process. And so my goal was coming back home to teach at the university. And indeed, I stuck to my plan. And when I got back home, I met University President Conte. And so I was in charge with strategic management department, unit, strategic management section of the courses. They called that planning and policy at the University of Liberia. And so that's what I was dealing with. And so not too long, the president called me, and I was in charge of national housing. And later on, she and I said we didn't get along very well. And so I started doing consultancy.
Why?
We'll get to that. Let me just drive the process. Because we want transitional situation. We'll get to that. Okay. And so I started doing consultancy with development partners to help our government. And so I got recruited by the Top 10. The Top 10 program is one of the elite civil service program run by the government but supported by donor partners. Top 10 and SES. Top 10 is the transfer of knowledge through Expert Trade Library National. So the programs recruit expert professionals from Liberia. And these were they're not government ministers, but they recruit them well paid and second them to government institutions to provide advice, develop concept papers, profit advice, and direct the running of those institutions. And so I was recruited after I left house. I recruited by top 10, and I became advisor to the Minister of Public Works. After 2 years, I moved to become advisor to the Minister of Finance, specifically in charge of donor aid inflow to Liberia. And so all of this engagement I was involved with the Liberian government, my eye was set that the problem of Liberia needed to go beyond. So we needed to have Liberians international institutions, the IMF, the World Bank, the Ecowas that were engaging with the country. We had no people. Foreigners come, you even go to the headquarters, you interact with different people. No Liberia. So I had always desired, well, after doing some work home, there's a need to go in these institutions that are providing support either in the human resources or financial resources to work from within. And by doing so, to also strengthen our country out there. And by doing that, also you make the case from within on behalf of our on behalf of our country. And so it was not a difficult thing to transition to ECOWAS, because I knew to better serve my country, having worked in the need to get out there to make the case, to further make the case for Liberia, while also serving the interests of other respected countries, was very crucial. And so I took that in a positive sense. It was something that I aspired for. And so I took it with courage and dynamism.
Well, I think, Dr. Towah, let me I don't usually congratulate people. It's not my style. But I think you really moved the goalpost, because you wanted to see sometimes how the decisions I arrive at. We just shouldn't receive it because nobody is sitting at the table to even argue, to even talk about it. And so I think making that sort of with that kind of courage, it's not surprising. I work with you. I know who you are, resilient, strong fighter. But I think that was a very strategic decision on your part. Was that
sure?
Was that something that really triggered that?
Yes. First, the core, direction, core insight that led me, to go international, particularly ECOWAS. I see the IMF or the African Development Bank or even the World Bank. I would have gone to any of them, but I chose ECOWAS for two critical reasons. One, ECOWAS was very, very instrumental in harnessing the peace that we have in Liberia. And so it was also important for Liberia to give back to ECOWAS to help other states. And I thought it was very important. I was positioned, I think. I have the resilience in terms of the training, the experience, and that I can carry on, whereby Liberia will be respected by my presence in the midst of other professionals, intellectuals. And beyond that, ECOWAS is a sub-regional organization. ECOWAS chart the course of action for the involvement of AU and the UN in most of our member states. And so sitting at the table as a Liberian to help provide direction towards this end, I believe was very, very crucial. And so I consider all of those in making that decision.
Wow. Again. Okay. Let's go back where you started from. And I'm making reference that when you were serving in government. Then, now we're going to make some few comparisons. You serve as an acting minister of agriculture, deputy minister, and acting minister of agriculture, Republic of Liberia. If you look at what is happening now within the agriculture industry when you were there, can we still argue that today? Are they the same?
All right. So let me take it from the public policy perspective. Looking at my role at the Ministry of Agriculture, at the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunication, at the Ministry of Finance, at the National Housing Authority, at the Housing and Savings Bank, at the Food Agency, all of them, just put everything into perspective.
Right.
National Food Assistance Agency, and take it from the public policy perspective. Now, the role of the government, among other things else, is to provide an enabling environment whereby the citizens would strive to achieve the ultimate goal, first for themselves and for the nation. Because where you are better off, in return, your nation does good. Now, so from agriculture through all these institutions that I mentioned, and other institutions that I did not mention, that I did not serve in. So each of the people that work in those areas, their goal is to make sure to work for and with the population to provide the means, provide the direction, provide the policy direction that will make their lives easier to apply their abilities to better themselves and ultimately better our country up. And so where we are, well, I think the country has made some strides. Can we do better? Yes, we can. And so it is incumbent upon those now in the territory to make sure that they revisit some policies that are very good. Because I was involved with, and I can say this without disrespect to previous governments. I think the Ellen Johnson administration, and I'm making reference specifically to the first 6 years of my leave, even though I had some challenges with her, and I also know that the people of Grand Guinea had their own challenges with this president, because her action, to some extent, some of her inaction, and the way she treated Grand Guineans, I have a problem with that. But I can also say that some of her policy, the way she worked, especially the first 6 years, I think she worked so hard. And during the first 6 years, the country was able to develop one of the modern time government development direction, public policy wise, that can guide the growth and strengthening of any modern state. I'm making reference to the poverty reduction strategy that was created or that was drafted by the Ellen Johnson administration. Within that strategic document, I am one of the editors. I drew the Pillar 4 that included infrastructure and business social services, that from rural construction to education to telecommunication and the housing and all of those things. So within that poverty reduction strategy, each county has a county development agenda that filters into the strategic policy for the country. Each county has a competitive advantage in particular areas that it can harness to make them unique in terms of development and then to attract attention nationally. Now, have we exhausted this strategic document implementation-wise? The answer is no. In fact, from where I sit, I've been reviewing it and I've been looking at the situation on the ground. We have not even implemented 20% of that strategic envisioning document. It's called a poverty reduction strategy. In fact, I consider that as the best document since the creation of the Republic that has been developed for the growth and development of Liberia. I know when we started the implementation, I was always, at the time, I was advisor to the Minister of Works, and Minister of Public Works chair the pillar of the poverty reduction strategy, Pillar 4, that deals with infrastructure, that is roads, bridges, telecommunication, education. So it's infrastructure and basic social services. On the infrastructure side, we see roads, bridges, housing, telecommunication, then basic social services, health, education, and all of those things. I was monitoring those things. The first year the implementation started. The second year was a weekly, monthly, quarterly review of the performance of the ministers in these sectors. But along the way, though, even during the Manusali's administration, changing the cabinet ministers, some come in, they don't take time to read this document, to understand this document, and to listen to the advisors within the institutions. the implementation of the policy, the very good policy that outline everything, falter. So I think this current government has an opportunity. I see that they develop a pro-poor agenda, but I know the pro-poor agenda is nothing different from some of the good ideas contained in the strategic document. So there's a need for those who are now state actors in the country to look into this documentation. Good things have been written.
I don't know. Yeah, I had to intercept here, but are these documents still there? Do they still have access to this document?
Oh yes, you go to Google right now, put in poverty reduction strategy for Liberia, you get our documents. They're available.
I mean, with the national government, are they there? Are they aware they are there, or we just?
Well, Mr. So, these documents exist. They are there. Those that work within the institute, besides the minister that were appointed by the president, all the technocrats are still there. So the documents are there, even though I have not personally gone to the institution to ask, have you seen the documents? But I know the documents are there.
Okay.
They exist.
Okay. So let me ask you, and I think there are a lot of critical things you are talking about here, which we who outside of the bare world, we can also make a guess gains of some of these things that are going on. How difficult it is. Someone who is informed, who has a skill, who is experienced like you in giving an advice, be it the president or the minister or the director, and they hear it, but when they turn their back, well, that's Dr. Towah. I'm not going to listen to him. How difficult it is to, because at the end of the day, it makes your job like somebody who doesn't know their job, because the public opinion there, the public judgment will be, but he was the advisor to the president. How difficult it is to advise, to be an advisor to a leader or even a boss who you should be providing some sort of counsel. Do they listen to you guys?
Well, so let me say this, Mr. So. Well, anybody can provide advices at best, but it's left with the person in authority to whom advices are given, how the advices are perceived, how they analyze, the person's own ability to analyze, to understand the dynamics of issues that come to our hand are very critical. So if you have someone who is versed, who knows what he or she is doing, and they have the competence around them to provide proper advices, and I think the country will be better served. But somehow, if somebody lacks the minds, and they say, well, despite the advice that come here, I have my own ideas to run on. Well, that's another thing. But what I think, from those who make the advice, all of us have responsibility, first and foremost, to our nation. And all of the struggle we went through to learn, to study in country and outside the country, through a humble process, going through struggle. All of us desire to have a peaceful, prosperous nation that we can retire in, rest in, that older generation people don't have the opportunity to travel abroad, that they can just stay at home and be at their best. That is our aspiration. At least that's my aspiration. And I believe that is the aspiration of many. And so all of our work to make sure that our nation stays prosperous at all costs. But again, those who fill the seat at this point in time, they also have responsibility to listen and to do what is good, public policy wise, to make sure the nation is projected on the right trajectory.
Okay, Dr. Towah, as usual, we always engage our onliners. We have an amazing onliners who always have their country, their regions at heart. Let me just bring this question here from Madam Monant Pele. He said, how can he tell the nation more of what Helen put together for the country? And then she went further down to argue some of us, I see not much. So, and I know it's a kind of rhetorical question here, but let's take it from your end, when the public policy era here. How critical is this question?
Well, I mean, I think it's a very good question. And hear me out. I can say this today clearly. And let me state, I said, in certain areas I have my own beef with President Sirleaf. But I can tell all Liberians, even those that are on today, that Madam Sirleaf, at least for the first 6 years that I was around before I left, this lady worked. Because I remember when we returned to the country, nearly everything in Liberia was broken down. Fisi were all in the streets, Center Street, Benson Street, everywhere, all the quota, everything broken in the city. Now, it's not about coming to just start putting cement down or putting quota down. There has to be an enabling environment. The policies have to be written. This thing did not happen overnight. It took painstaking engagement. People go to work. I remember when I was managing the Director of National Housing, I go to work 7 o'clock, I don't leave until 11 o'clock in the night. And that was across institutions, government institutions. People work. Madam President herself be in office until 11 o'clock in the night, calling the Minister of Works to see if he's still around. What new ideas? The rural situation. So I can say is that beside the visible, the tangible things that people see, there are so many intangible things that happen. The creation of policy, be it infrastructure policy, be it public policy, public financial management policy that has to do with setting the financial framework into place, the auditing structure of the public financial management framework. So many things went to play. And I'll tell you, a lot of work happened before people start seeing the rules have been constructed. And so a good deal of work that people don't easily see. Sometimes I asked the people in the communication sector of the government earlier at the time, I said, you are doing a disservice to this lady, to this our president. So much has been done, but I don't see people in the media on these things for the citizens to hear them. But I can say today without any fear or favor.
What is responsibility?
Well, I mean, I don't know, because that's a domain. But what I can say to you today, vehemently, and that I'm a living testimony. I mean, I said I have my beef with President Sirleaf, but on this one, the first 6 years, she really worked, and all of us that worked along with her that time, it was a pressure. People had to deliver. Government minister had to deliver. She would be on the phone, and people would go to work 7 o'clock, and Madame would not leave herself.
You did that when we were at the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications. Minister Towah will come and go into department to make sure that those who are directors or assistant ministers, they are all there. Is that part of the discipline that is instilled in you, making sure that your perfections is up to date? Is that something that you? And this is the problem that we have in our country that sometimes makes it so difficult to succeed and to get to the finishing line. When you try to walk a fine line and follow the policy, follow the rules of the law, people hate that. People want to have their own way. And that's part of the problem that we are having in society, even outside of government, even in our own institution. When you talk about the laws, they put it one side. People want to have their way. And when you try to enforce it becomes a problem. You're going to have few disgruntled people going to gain against you.
Yeah, so, I think you are right, but I think there are a lot of good people in Liberia. And to work with Liberian people say it's difficult, but the example has to come from the top. And just what I was telling you with Madam Sirleaf, at least for the first 6 years. So everybody knew. The president will call anytime and she'll want deliverables. If she called, what do I have to say to her? So everybody was working. And everybody know when she comes to office, she does not leave, and she can call on you anytime. So you don't leave to go sit on beer table. We have work to do. So everybody work. Maybe sometimes, I mean, when I left and I became the advisor to the Minister of Works, I know sometimes 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night, we'll be called to the mansion. When the minister is called, guess who goes with the minister? I always go with the minister because I was in charge of strategic planning for the Minister of Works. Part of my work, well, let me not say I don't know the project itself, but part of the work we did there transformed the ministry today from road construction to that of us supervising, coordinating on the policy level. The ministry as a policy maker can be involved with roads construction. You just can't mix the two. create what we call the rural authority. I think the documentations have been done. Second road construction. The private companies do that. Government monitor those things. Let the funds go. You monitor the funds and all of that. Instead of putting the funds in your head, then we'll check you. So we redesign all of these things here. So what I can say here is that there are a lot of good people who can work, who have the desire to work, and they have worked before. It can be done, but where the tap is not in control with respect to direction, what to be achieved, and holding to the fire those that are charged with the respective responsibilities to deliver, then I think there's a problem. I'm not saying that's a situation, but if that is not done, then there's a problem. But I think we have the minds, we have the willpower, Liberia has the expertise, but I think it's to mix the expertise, to put them together and provide direction. I think that what is lacking. But the policy framework to do these things, the policy framework to exist, just a question of revisiting them and tease them out. In fact, before, when I was at Ministry of Public Works, when we did the analysis, when the construction of one mile of quota, real quota that lasts for maybe 30 years, 40 years, is by $1 million. I mean, I'm just saying this to say that the detailed work that went to all of this, so all of the plans are costed, laid out. It's just a question now, which one can we do first? How much resources do we have? Now, we call this a strategic review. What is our purse? These are things we have to do. How do we engage them to make sure which of these things that we do will have the greater impact? So
it's all about identifying order of priorities.
Yes. In this case, what I'm saying here is that the priorities are all being identified. But I know the problem here is that we don't have, our purse is limited. So the question here is, given what we have and what we have to do, now which we have already known, which can we do now that will have the greater effect to be able to, that will have the multiplier effect. Since our purse is less, and we have so much that will multiply to also impact other areas. We have to sit down. In my own view, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Who gives that technical advice and how is it finalized? Is it level alone?
Well, so I won't say, well, technical, but again, top level, policy-wise, the technical work has been done. The press is known. I mean, I'm talking about the whole government that's sitting down. Those from the public financial management sector, they are there, who are financial czars. Those from the technical aspect, or who are infrastructure czars, they are all there. In terms of telecommunication, road construction, they are all there. Where the cost analysis have all been made. It's a question now, probably at the cabinet level or at the whole government level. What are those things to be done? These have been done. Let's take, for example, Burkina Faso. I was in Burkina Faso for 4.5 years when I was chief of budget for the West African Health Organization. Thomas Sankara initiated the process. In fact, right now, as I speak to you, Burkina Faso has the most functional and celebrated aid management program. What they did was they look at their purse, the national resource, the national resources mobilization, and had a meeting with their partners and said, look, our country is landlocked, we are poor. And it's true, the country, if you go there, what we take for granted in Liberia, the land, the green, the water, the forest we take for granted, you go to Burkina Faso, then you will appreciate that Liberia is rich naturally. And they said, if we don't act appropriately, we will die. And they got to work. They call their partner. They got to work first, identify their ability, their internal resources, mobilization, and they identify those things that they must do for the country to remain meaningful to its people. And then they call their partners. What we have now, we'll focus on this, for example, road construction and education. Can you meet us? This would be the cost for health and for other areas that we don't have funding for. But whatever funds we have, we'll keep doing our roads, because if our country is connected Our cotton will grow all around the country. There'll be market for them. People will be able to have their transport running. Will stimulate growth in country because people can connect. And so, as landlocked as Burkina Faso is about 3 to 4 times the size of Liberia. The major highways that landlocked country, poor country, the major roads connectivity in that country, they're all paved. You can get on the bus, the Greyhound bus in America, get a ticket. You can wear your papa slipper, wear a big gown for the farm, and get on the bus with air condition, with TV in your bus in Burkina Faso.
In Burkina Faso?
In Burkina Faso, landlocked country. And people in Liberia from the Grand Basin go up Lofa, say people that they are hidden, they are bush people. I'm talking about a country that way up northern part of West Africa, landlocked, and they have the quality of life for the people. So if they can do it, I'm saying here the policy exists in Liberia, we can do it. It's just a question of setting priorities. I know that the process is small, there's so much to do, but among the priorities, you prioritize. Somebody will say, prioritize the priority. There are several priorities, but which among these that what we do with our purse, they can have a trickle-down effect on other aspect of our public sector. And roads can go wrong.
Well, folks, I'm Afonso Dieyan of the Liberia Public Radio. This is All Things Considered. Today, I am honored and privileged to have a distinguished gentleman. He's a distinguished diplomat, a Liberian. Ecowas serving now currently as administrations and finance at Ecowas Community Court. Dr. William Dieyan Towah is currently in the USA. Making his first appearance. And with full disclosure, I will always say this: thank you for all what you did when we were at the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication. I used to pick at the door, making sure what our staff in on time. Oh man, you can't just say that. You got to be checking who in, who out, and who's leaving on time. But all of these kind of
thank you.
All help people now to strengthen people and try to be disciplined. We didn't know, like thinking like a pain in the neck. Oh, man, people got to go home soon. 3 o'clock, one call away, but you make sure you go look. So Dr. Towah, then William Towah stay in your office, making sure the paperwork is done. Okay. This is a tough one. Let's get to our former era, Ministry of Post and Telecommunications. You serve as deputy for administration. Up to this time, there is no mailing system. I saw Nathaniel Blaman, the former EP8 director, when they were going to effect an arrest, and then they were asking, where the main house? And the security people were asking the ordinary people, where the main house? I was in Sierra Leone. Every little village town in Sierra Leone, there's a mailing address and your letter can reach safely. What was the footprint blueprint that you left there? Or the ministry then on at the time to Minister Colley? Was there anything specific left there?
Well, thank you, Mr. So. When I served with the Ministry of Post and Telecom, as you recall, it was a crisis time. Yes, we made
functional representation. It was crazy.
Yeah. Certainly, I mean, irrespective of that, we went into the service based on our own competence and not because we're bare ball for anybody. And so we knew that we had a piece of job to do, and we went to the post with that commitment. I mean, as you rightly said, and I want to say thank you. People always express these things, and they felt like saying it publicly. I thought I was. Some people thought I was troubling them.
Not to interrupt you, I don't usually do that. And I think in as much we critique our national leaders, when there's a good side and good version of it, I think we must also come out publicly to acknowledge that. I don't have to wait until, no, that's not my style. And I hope not to do that. So if you are a minister who used to leave 12 o'clock, you go and you can't come back, believe me, I will call it out here this afternoon.
Thank you. So let me go ahead. And so there was an opportunity missed when we were at the Post and Telecom. And I remember I flagged this during the cabinet meeting. As you recall, many a time I would represent the minister because the minister would travel, and I would be the acting minister at the cabinet meetings. And at the time, this organization called SELF was sharing food at the time. And so the whole of Monrovia was mapped out. I mean, the document was brought, I followed through and I saw a copy of the documentation. And I even had a meeting, senior management meeting at the ministry. And I said, now we have an opportunity. Because nearly every zone, every house is marked in the capital. The rural part will start from the capital and trickle down in the rest of Liberia. How can we put into practice this document? This document has been developed by this NGO that is sharing food. All we needed just little money to engage the partners, the fellows from the self NGO institution, our own staff at the ministry, and some civil service organizations to see, and then to go around Monrovia to have lecture series, to have enlightenment, to have the involvement of the people. Because sometimes it's good to plan, but planning with the people is very important. So that when houses are marked for the food purpose, not because the food is done, then they will raise the number to create awareness. It was a little budget I'll put together to make sure we head towards the direction. But again, such was the time. The nation was engulfed into finding peace. And so in terms of national development, the presidency that was composed of collective presidents, those areas was not their attention so much. But what I can say on the other side as well, regarding mail coming into the country, the first one, mail delivery from home. So we're not successful, but the documents, we compiled them in the left of the ministry when we left. So that our successors will see this and run with it. Documentation, paperwork, the appropriate paperwork, the strategy how to go about it, and left. We're able to also, even in the midst of the crisis, to maintain mail delivery in Liberia. I remember I went to Cote d'Ivoire so many times. Cote d'Ivoire, kind of like at the time we called Air
Ivoire, right.
Air Ivoire, yeah.
EMS were very effective. People used to get their boxes and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, EMS, bill moving. So I was on top of this because as deputy for administration, I found a bridge between postal, the deputy minister of postal affairs, and the deputy minister for technical services for telecommunications, coordinated this too, and then with the minister proper. And so the network continued, and the public was being served even at the heat of the crisis. So to answer your question, there's little we could do with regards to meal delivery at home. But the blueprint that we got from self-food, with the appropriate strategy how to go about it for implementation, was designed, but we did not have the funding to engage the populace for this program to be bought by the citizenry and then for implementation. We didn't have the funding for that. And so those documentation was compiled and left in the ministry and what those that succeeded us, those documents were turned over to them.
Okay.
So where things are now, whether meal are being delivered at home, I don't know. But I'm sure somebody from the current postal administration will be able to address that in due course. But what I can say for sure is that we had the opportunity where the whole country was mapped out. But I don't know whether that condition exists now.
Okay.
No.
Okay, before we even come to this reality, in your earlier session yet, we also lifted President Helen Johnson Sirleaf up by working hard in the first 6 years. Do you think, did she look at that, or that was also downplay? Because I believe Helen Johnson government who got a good fundings, and those who have been some of the things knowing her background, who she is, her professionalism, the kind of leadership style that was in her. I'm not sure whether that aspect was looked at.
Yes, in fact, in the strategic development, in the strategic policy document, that was looked at, that was costed, that was included. If my memory is serving right, because one of those pillar institutions that I monitored at the time also included post and telecommunications. So I also mentioned earlier that all of the good policies are written. I'm not even sure if we implemented 20% of them. So there's in terms of implementation, I think the government at the time fell short. Okay. But while talking about this, talking about the Liberian government, the situation in Liberia. For every time I think about our country, sometimes I feel so sad.
Why?
Well, and I'm coming. I don't know whether the coup was necessary.
The 1980 coup.
The 1980 coup. And also, I'm also troubled with the way Liberian people brand every other administration, particularly the aspect that has to do with ethnicity. Now, what do I mean by this? I am saying some I don't write on the Facebook. I go there and monitor situation for the past almost 7-8 months now. I refrain from writing on Facebook, but I go there to check what is happening. And I see a creeping narrative that Judge Weah government is crew government, crew people. I also saw this. Whether that is true or not, we can look at the Judge Weah cabinet to see whether this is true. I saw the same situation when Doe was in power. Oh, the crown people, crown government. Whether that is true, we can also look at the Doe administration, the Doe government. But one thing I know for sure, if I might go a little bit deeper, small, that the country was ruled. I mean, we agreed that we have about 16 ethnic groups in Liberia, including American Liberians. And for 140 years, this one ethnic group ruled the country. In fact, up to the time there was a coup, in fact, they had every aspect of government, the 3 branches of government, they control all. The cabinet, if you had 2 or 3 ministers from any other ethnic group, that would be sufficient. But nobody talked about ethnicity when these people rule. When Doe was up to 1980, the judiciary, the legislature, the executive were all controlled by the American Liberians. Even when the opportunity came, when the pressure was being mounted, when James E. Green passed away, Jackson E. Doe was tapped because he was part of the establishment to replace a native. That was miscarriage, and Jackson Doe was dropped. I didn't hear anybody talking about ethnicity. Of course, there was one ethnic group, the American Liberian were ruling. When Doe got there, let's take a look at the cabinet of Samuel Doe when he took over 1980. Not quite 3 crown people were ministers. Even the 3, I think that it can be 3, either 2. But the rest of the cabinet ministers are from all across Liberia, even to the extent that Doe retained 3 cabinet ministers from the Towah administration: the Minister of Public Works, Gabriel Tucker, the Minister of Urban Reconstruction at the time, Donso, was retained. The Minister of Health at the time, I think it was Madison Duro, but I think she was retained. Even to the point that some of the progressives thought that the Doe overthrow was not a revolution, because there should be a total change. And then after the takeover of Doe, let's go when Doe became president in 1985. What was the makeup of the cabinet of Samuel Doe? You will not find not more than 2 crown people in the Doe cabinet. If the 2, that's fine. I mean, that's maximum, but you can come more than 3. But yet, I hear people say, oh, the crown government, Doe was tribalistic. And well, I'm not here to defend Doe, but if they do that, they polarize a whole ethnic group to public ridicule by being wrongfully creating narratives to destroy a person and in the process destroy a whole ethnicity.
So you didn't see the arguments of the Liberian people Dent Valley? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying here is that no matter what happens, there will be someone from the ethnic group that will lead. And so instead of
okay, then let me just from your background as a public policy person, if a structure of government, supposedly if it is arranged, and this is for discussion purposes, where it is visible, you say we should go through the line, and if we can go through the line, do you think if a government comes into play and the government is not spread out and it's kind of being centralized or concentrated with a specific group of people, is that a good strategic way to lead? Don't you think it's going to bring some sort of an insurrection that people are going to be wanting?
No, I mean, in fact, I even frown at any government to focus more on one ethnic group. I frown on that. In fact, Liberia belongs to all of us, and all Liberians that have the expertise should be given the opportunity through the vetting process. And I say through the vetting process, and I emphasize that. But when people are making progress, and the progress should be articulated, and the narrative should be made in the sense as not to destroy a group of people. What I'm saying here, the argument I'm trying to make here is, when Samuel Doe was president, there are people who are projecting the narratives that anyone who is from besides the American Liberian stock, who is from any of the ethnic group that lead, the first thing for those who don't want that to happen, for anybody from any of the ethnic group to lead, they will say, oh yes, see, he focuses on his people. Whereas if you do an objective analysis of what they are saying, maybe they see 1 or 2% who is visible in the eyes of a particular leader who is from an ethnic background, they try to condemn the whole thing, which if you do a competitive analysis, is not the case. And so that was the situation at which the Crown were besmirched during the Doe administration. I went to school during that time. I never had a dime for scholarship. To even get 10 cents to E4 for I could not afford. I have some friends they can verify that. But yet, as a Crown person who have gained my own education through struggle, I had to be subjected to the situation because of narratives. And I see the same thing emerging with Judge Weah and the crew people. But when Ellen Johnson was president,
but is it true that George Weah, is appointing people from his ethnic background, supposedly? Or because it wasn't talked about yesterday, now it's being talked. Time has significantly involved, Dr. Towah.
I understand. What I'm saying is that nothing wrong when something is wrong to talk about it. But in the process of using the brush to group an entire ethnic group, I think that is wrong. When a president is appointing, whatever, for any different tribe, whatever the situation, let the person aspire for the best. I know here in America where President John Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, be Secretary of Justice, Secretary of Justice, I guess.
We can even talk right now. Donald Trump's son-in-law is a senior advisor to the president.
Right. So I think the point should be competence.
Okay, that argument. It should be
competence. Yeah, competence. So even where some of the people are qualified, and competence and where is not overly done. But when all the facts point that this is not overly done, and competence exists, and still people take the brush to brush a whole ethnic group, I think it's a dangerous precedence. And I'm saying this to lay the premise that when Ellen Johnson was president, I know she employed a lot of competent people, but most of these people that were in key positions of significance, for the most part, and I emphasize the word for the most part, if you check, they have American Liberian lineage, for the most part. But nobody crowd foul play, that she's favoring the Congo people, the American Liberian that also part of the ethnic group in Liberia. When Charles Taylor was president, nobody said that. Most of the people that take up appointed position of significance had lineage to American Liberian. Nobody made noise about that. Samuel Doe was crowned. If you check Samuel Doe government, not quite 3 minutes of a crown. But that brush was flashed out everywhere. And that polarized the ethnic group. And the same thing is emerging with Judge Weah. So what I'm saying here is that let us be mindful. What are being the crown people? What up today, Judge Weah with the crew people? Tomorrow is going to be a Gio or Manon person. And the same story will come to say, see, he favors people. Don't respect him. Wrestle against him. The thing here is that doing and that tendency destroys the country. We can talk about it when it's overly done, and also when it is done, when people are recruited and not competent. We can speak about the incompetency. But to tribalize to the extent that the person government is perceived in the eye of the ethnicity, and see even some of the poor people way in Dieyan, in Kample, in Towah, in Tobli, in Ziabli, people had nothing to do with the government. When you polarize people, people get victimized unfairly and wrongfully. So what I'm saying here is that from time to time, though coming to power has changed the political dynamics, from time to time, there's going to be an ethnic person, somebody from one of the ethnic group who is not American Liberian. And the same rhetoric will come back. Let's be mindful for the good of our republic. That's just a caveat I want to throw out.
Okay, I'm going to be taking a quick commercial break. Folks, I'm here today with a distinguished fellow from Ecowas, Dr. William Towah, former Deputy Minister of Post and Telecommunications, occupied numerous positions in government, is now flying the flag of Liberia as a distinguished fellow at Ecowas, a diplomat. I'm taking a quick commercial break, and I will be right back.
Diaspora informative news platform Liberia Public Radio LPR presents Freedom Watch with Alfonso Zinso. On Freedom Watch, we hold national leaders, opposition, and the general public accountable for words by asking tough questions in exchange for real-time answers. No one walks away free by providing false information. If it's from LPR and Zinso, it got to be good. Be my guest every Sunday live on LPR TV from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV.
Alfonso Zinso for the Liberia Public Radio based in the U.S. I currently visit the entire. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we are back here again. Very shortly, we're going to be taking a few questions here before we let our guests go. Let's make a transition on a regional level. And I'm talking about your county. It is quite fascinating. We managed to get the official timeline of the senatorial races. Let's just do a judgment here or have a discussion based on the names, the experience. They are not being certified by NEC. That is clear cut here. But before that, do you have a political ambition?
Yes. And the ambition I have is what I'm doing right now. I'm serving my people.
Beyond
both in the sub-region and in Liberia.
Beyond this, any other thing?
Well, yes, I'll come back to Liberia and teach at the university, or maybe have the community college, maybe to begin with a full university in the southeast.
Do you intend to go to that big building opposite the University of Liberia, Capitol building, something like that they call it?
Oh, you mean representative or senator?
Probably.
Oh, I'm not sure.
But not yet off the table.
Absolutely.
Okay. So And I like it. I like seasoned politicians because they carefully mend their voice. Okay, let me just throw these few names. I had a chance to talk to them. And Sunday, hopefully you'll be back here with us Sunday because we're going to be joining all-star panelists of Grand Gideons in Europe, in the UK, Europe, Australia, then even inside Liberia to take a critical review of what is happening. Okay, let's throw a few names in the bucket here. I've had a privilege to talk to Representative Zoe Emmanuel Pennon, who political questioned to go to the upper house of government. I had a chance to talk to Dr. George Bole, lawyer, trying to accelerate his political bash to the upper house. And former Foreign Minister Thomas Yaya Nimle, former president of the Grand Gided Association, Willem Bill Nyanu, interview is pending. There was a cancellation from there, is pending. And other few folks have reached out to them, they have not come. If you look at the politics of Grand Gide, and if you look at the representations and those that are now in the course of this year, have you decided who to support, even though they are yet to go through all of the process? Have you come to that conclusion?
No, not yet. So I have not decided yet who to support. And besides, I did not register in Grand Gide to vote. So, I will not be voting for anyone. I will not register in Monrovia because at the time of the election, usually the road is so bad, and I will not fly in to cast my vote and to go back. So I will not be voting in Grand Gide as such. But again, quickly, but I know nearly all of the names that you call. Mr. Nyanu, I know very well, and I interacted here in America. Zoe Pennon, an intelligent young man who knows contemporary politics, how to engage people. I know him very well. Dr. Bole, I know very well. He and I engaged many times. The former foreign minister, I don't know well. He and I, we have not had any engagement. I don't know him. As such in terms of personal knowing, but I'm just reading about him also. I'm not sure if we ever met in person and had a discussion. I'm not sure. So, but all of them, they have a good desire to represent our county. But I listened to some of the interviews that you have, and I think they need to clearly come out to articulate the agenda, their vision for the youth of Grand Gide. Because whether we like it or not, what we do now is to create an enabling framework for our children and our children's children. Going into the parliament or the legislature is not to seek for employment as such. And so I would like to see more what are the plans with regards to no Grand Gideon child being left behind, and that's filtering in to the national agenda. So if no Grand Gideon child will be left behind by what they tell us about what they have to present, and I strongly believe if they can make that case, they will also be able to make that case at the national level, wherein there will be no Liberian child left behind in the space of prosperity and growth of our young people to become good and society. Good citizens and to contribute to the prosperity of our society.
Is any of those on that path?
Well, from the presentation, those I listened to, I don't think they have fully articulated their vision regarding the youth. And so for those of you in the media that are engaging them, I would like to see what plans have they, each of them, in dealing with the future of the young people, be it education, be it those technical training in terms of to put some of the young men back to work. What are the plans they have? I personally, I don't like this idea of these top officials and having the young people behind them holding the bags. But I would like to see how the young people can be their own breadwinners, giving them the skills.
You're making reference to this sort of battle crowd that's ongoing all around Sao, and all of those kind of stuff. Is that what you're making reference?
Now, if you go to Monrovia today, you see all the young people clustering in a tiny shop. Meanwhile, we have fertile land all across Monrovia. And the young people, many of them came from, other than in fact, came from some county. So what is the plan we have to empower the young people? What plans do we have today? We want to be senator, we want to be representative. And so when you become representative senator, what plan do you have to give back to these young people? I've not seen any of them fully, I've not seen any of them articulate that yet. Mm-hmm.
Let's flip the coins around here to what should be the responsibility of the young people. They are adults. They must be able to make informed decisions. They are the ones that are inflicted with all of the behaviors, the insincerity of politicians in Liberia, and just not only Grand Jide alone. What should be the responsibility of these young people in making informed decisions to recognize and to take a keen look? I don't think we are leading in this direction. This cannot help us. Why we should be looking out for ourselves?
So let me say this, Mr. Dieyan. So let me backtrack a little. I have been engaged in some other people relating to the founding of our nation state. When the American-Liberian people themselves, who were enslaved in the Americas, who were ill-treated, subjected to all kinds of inhumane practices, who themselves were Christians, who brought a Christian church to Africa, quote unquote, that continent. And they themselves were preachers. And from the founding of Liberia, they kept their fellow black men they met in the continent into slavery, so subjected them. So what I hear is that, well, people came with the slave mentality, so what they knew best was when you have power, you use the power to subject people. That's some of the arguments some people are making. So what I'm going to say here is I'll take an inference on that. The young people for a very long time, they have been idle. Let us assume that they have the energy, they have certain resources, they have the human resources they have the strength. If they are not educated, they have the strength. Even those are educated, well, they are not groomed into technical education, but just to read and write and degree. How can we transform these skills into productivity? So there are some that have the education, they don't know what to do to even create a business. What I'm saying here is that what the role of the government is to create, structure a policy direction. And then you navigate your people. When there is no policy that is followed to implementation, then everybody is helter-skelter, uncontrolled. There's no direction. So the government provide the framework, the direction, create a public policy that can drive everyone towards prosperity, harnessing their potential. So what I'm saying here is that let's take it from the rudimentary level. Every official of government from a county, and the legislature is a very powerful place. So what I'm saying here is that
are they powerful today?
Well, all I know, they're powerful. They're not powerful today. I have to study that. But that's a very powerful house. That's a very powerful embodiment when it comes to governance of the people, because they represent the people directly. And so I want to see these people fully articulating their engagement with the young people to transform their skill into making them productive and prosperous citizens. Because when your people are prosperous, then the nation becomes prosperous. But when your people are poor and poverty striking, then the nation is poor and broke. The nation has to produce. A nation that does not produce, that live on handout from people at the mercy of people, cannot suffice. And so, but this is not the president's responsibility only, but the people that represent the constituency. There's an article I wrote on preserving the peace and stability of the Liberian state. It's also on Google. You can check it out. And in the conclusion, I put there is not only the way forward to ease out political tension. It's not only the responsibility of the president, but elected officials who are from the constituency, where the agreed people are coming from. What are their responsibility to the people? And so I'm saying this for grand jury, those who are vying for the positions, they need to articulate their programs. And not because they feel like, and so maybe 1 or 2% know them, so they want to jump in the race. What are your programs? And also to the young people and to our people, I also have a message that while it is true somehow, situation has placed all of us, because this is my first time seeing in my lifetime, where running for public office, you wait for handout from those who run for public offices. It used to be the other way around. When people are running for public offices, people donate to them. When they go to a town, people kill cow for them and say, yes, you are a good man. We support you.
They have flipped the coins around.
Now the coins are flipped. The times have changed because the crisis has come. Everyone has been subjected to poverty. The establishment that existed at the time, because the people were uprooted, the status quo do not exist anymore. And this thing really started from the Charles Taylor time, when the country was coming back together and money was being used all around. So that culture has been developed. So what I'm saying now to those also who can reason at this point in time, please do not, and for Nigerians who are listening to me, and for other counties who have people that will also be taking part in the elections, please don't be carried away. I know there are needs, somebody's needs now. Somebody will come and give. Yes, if you have need, they give, and you have a need, you can receive, but don't be controlled because somebody gave you.
That token.
That should not be the foundation of your decision. Is this person a good man? What are the track record of this person? What does this person has done before? Can they do now based on what they have done before? Do a complete analysis.
Are they equipped to meet today's reality to deliver?
Well, there's what I'm saying. There should be two-pronged approach.
Okay.
The first approach would be those of you in the media now should question these people to provide a detailed program of action. From their program of action, we'll know whether they have good intentions and they have the capabilities and the ability to deliver. Now, if they can produce that means they're not even competent in the first. They are not even prepared in the first place. And so the second call I'm calling on now is a voice of reasoning to those who have the power to cast. I know right now people are beclouded with so many things happening, but I'm just appealing to their conscience to go beyond.
Okay, we folks, privileged and honored to have someone that I've worked with before in the past, and I'm still working with him. I'm learning new skills here. A distinguished Ecowas diplomat, Dr. Towah. Dr. Towah, because we're talking on some of these things here before, I throw the number here for 1 or 2 questions here. I have had this discussion before. I am concerned. I am wondering whether the Ecowas on the regional level are concerned as well. The proliferations of these malicious group in Liberia on the part of the ruling party, on the part of the oppositions and the civil society. We fought a war for 15, 14 unbroken years to the extent that were leading to ethnic cleansing. And we know how deadly that war, the devastation. 15 years, it's still, the memories are still fresh. And you see young people wearing red barrels, dressed in like a military attire. I am concerned. The 103 men and women on Capitol Hill, I have not seen anybody calling the attention. I've never heard the government. The government is also part of it. They have their own brigade unit. Recently, I just saw another one here, Solidarity Cadet and all of that opposition. Is ECOWAS concerned about these proliferations of these malicious group? That I could be wrong, that endangers the life of these young people, like what you were just talking about, because all they are to these party headquarters with backpack on their back, they're sinking, they can't get tired, they are in there for the day end. Where is the leadership?
Well, let me take it from two dimensions. First, from the sub-regional dimension, and then I can also comment on the national dimension as well. Well, generally, it is the strategic engagement of ECOWAS into Liberia to make sure that we have peace and then we have security in Liberia. That ECOWAS is very serious about that, and so part of it engagement in the country has to do with monitoring development. If ECOWAS has a functional, very robust office in Liberia, the representing the ECOWAS Commission in Monrovia, monitoring development and providing advice to the ECOWAS policy leadership, and also engaging the government in power at this point in time on prevailing circumstances. Now, on the home front, I think, and this should draw the attention of every person, those in government and even each individual citizens. Let me say this as an individual, reflecting to what happened when I went to Liberia, when I returned to Liberia 2006. 2006, the armed forces were being retrenched. And I tell you, the retrenchment was being carried out more like a vengeance on the Crown people. And then, if you will, also some other ethnic group. And I said the national government and individual citizens also, that's what I say on the national front. Now, the role that individual citizens play. And so I recall some young men that were laid off from the armed forces. They were very disgruntled. And even to the point that probably those in government were hearing it, or they weren't hearing it, or they were not interested to hear. That sometimes I believe if individual citizens were not involved to say enough is enough, just go home to Grand Gide or to Nimba or to Lofa, make your farm or learn some other trade, leave this thing alone. If those engagement did not happen, Liberia could have become a place that is ungovernable. The guerrilla warfare tactics and all of those things. I know when I was engaging with some people, people were angry. So what I'm saying here is that that time has passed to a full engagement by ordinary citizens to say, yes, we know that the treatment is a little bit harsh, is not friendly. Even there's a way you can punish someone or you can take action against someone, and the person would appreciate that it's meant for the good by fully explaining and being fair. So that time was handled and we have civility. Now, what is emerging now? The militarization of body politics in Liberia requires careful consideration. I don't have the antidote to that, but what I think is that the actors on the ground need to be very, very careful. The nation has seen the worst, the carnage that can ever happen on the face of the earth. For a small nation of less than 5 million people, wherein we are all interrelated, we have to be very careful. And I think that those of you in the media continue to hone this. It is very important that we don't lose sight of this, of monitoring the situation and speaking against it and guiding against it. Young people need to go to school and help the young people build technical schools. Give young people the skill, give them the capital. Where you don't have the job for them, they don't go because the highest employment in the country, we have the soil. Land is not the problem for Liberians. And I'm sure if the young people are given the skills and the means to access funding to go into agriculture, they have the right supervision from the government authority concerned. They can go into the farm, into cultivation. Once they are given the know-how and the empowerment required, and the supervision and the resources are required, I'm sure we can turn things around. Also coupled with opening up the country in terms of road construction. Because I was coming from Burkina Faso one time, and I drove by road through Cote d'Ivoire, and I entered Liberia through Town. In fact, by the way, I met
South Central. I believe you passed through my little town there, but
yeah, that's right. I know Omen very well. I mean, in fact, my apostle, when I was running for the Senate, to be in the Omen house. Okay. And so that time when I got there, he had passed away, and I met some of your relatives, and I spent some time with them. But when I got into Grand by road, I was coming to Monrovia, and I met the car. I mean, the road was not possible, and so many cars got stuck in the mud just after Town. And this woman took loan from the bank, and she had gone to the southeast to buy produce. She bought plenty of bananas. And she was on that road until all those things got ripe and destroyed. Cassava, everything got destroyed. And what I could hear, the poor woman was crying. I took loan. I mortgaged my little land. And I don't know where would I get the money from to pay the bank back to be able to get my deed. Now, all the goods that I bought, I thought I was going to sell to make money, everything has been destroyed. Well, simply not that there's something wrong, but because the road is not possible. She hired a truck that she paid. And so while we are doing these things, we have to make sure the country is open up. The government has a responsibility. Look, these things are doable. These things are doable. The road construction. Let the best minds get together. The country is a going concern entity. The country would not break down today. The country is here to stay. And something needs to be done to address the road situation in the country. Let those in authority engage. Some of us are available to provide some ideas. There's so much money out there. Design your blueprint and engage. Sit at the table. The country can build itself in terms of road construction and begin to pay back over time. Engage, discuss. The issue of road is so pressing that we cannot put it aside. And if the issue of road is addressed, the issue of jobs creation and empowerment of the people, that will be the thing of the past. Because even if I leave from here today, so I'll tell you this. I don't want to stay in Monrovia, but I want to be able to live in Grand Jide or go to Towah town in Nimba and live there, be able to move back and forth. Of course, some of us have strong connection in Nimba and in other counties also. We want to be able to move up and down. And so the issue of road construction, the opening of the country is ever present. And this country, we cannot put it away. We cannot grant no excuse. We have to do it. It's very crucial. And I mean, if I've not said anything that anybody has heard, I think the issue of road construction is ever present, and we have to address it head on. We can't believe it.
Okay, all right. We're going to take few calls. And while we're just talking about this growth of organizations, I'm just getting a message here from our correspondent in Maryland, the southeastern side. They are saying there is a fear, there's an unknown organization. This name here, I need to look out this name here in the dictionary or some PDF. Unicaplus Raw is an organization, some sort of organization. Claim to be an organization. They're yet to establish the identity of these people, and they are causing some problem in the southeastern side, that is in Maryland County. Anthony Young, Augustine Young, our correspondent, is reporting that we hope to make a follow-up on this developing issue. Some put money, they are giving money into people. They don't know where the money is coming from. It is why it is. But we're going to make a follow-up. We're going to be taking few calls. But let me see here. I want to play this here. Hopefully, if it doesn't, you will have the chance to listen to it. I don't know why this is. Let me see here. Hold on 1 second here. I'm going to be putting the number out here quickly here for us to have a discussion. And just if it can play it, then we would make we're going to work on it on Sunday to have it in place before we can do this. All right, I have to work on this audio here. So what we did, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, but what we did, we're going to have this here. Make sure we're going to have this place because we intend to bring all the all-star panelists of Grand Gideon. And this is now what we want, not only Grand Gideon, where all we have our correspondent, and even where we do not have our correspondent. All of these people, the 15 political subdivision, we will engage all of them. If it causes us to go extra mile, we did what we call a sampling survey to hear from the voters. In the absence of these people being not being qualified, what they're thinking on, what their decision process, how they are coming to this decision, and it is amazing to think some of the videos and audio that we are having here. So these people, all of us, I should be held responsible when I sit behind this microphone, things that I throw out there, and they themselves, not just only politicians. So let me just put this number out here quickly here for one of you question here. It's after 4, and we're going to be leaving it here. On Monday, I'm going to be having a special senatorial experiment. Mr. Thomas Quay, I'm going to be right here with me. The list is launched. The Yanon, the Bill Yannon team has confirmed with me Tuesday. They're going to be appearing here. That's the number here. Those of you who want to call, maybe you can call in the next 10 minutes. We're going to be wrapping up here just to have your say. But there are a lot of good questions. People already put them here and we're asking here. Mona will say, thank you so much. I like this show. Great topic. We need this change is here to Liberians. Open your eyes. Be positive. Absolutely. We have to. You can't be cussing and then you want somebody to talk to you. It's ridiculous. You can't have a good engagement like that. That's the only way we can do it. So let's do this here. But other than that, I think pretty well we have done this here. I think we are. I intend. Yeah. The number is a WhatsApp number as well. Okay, let me see here. Hello, caller. Are you there? What's your name and where are you calling from?
Thank you very much. My name is Levi Madison. I'm calling from Delaware, Newcastle.
Oh, the great Levi. How are you,
yes,
sir?
Sir. I'm doing pretty good.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. What's the question to Dr. Towah?
Well, I want to thank you very much for your ability to pretty much bring to your platform guests of such, repute and intellectual capability, as well as governmental experience. Enjoyed the discussion, but I was moved by one session from the doctor, even though I pretty much agree with almost everything he stated. And it came to the fact that he regrets or does not think that the coup of 1980, a purely revolutionary event that altered the balance of power in Liberia, fundamentally transformed life for ordinary Liberians, most of whom are the natives. For him, a member of the native stock, to come up with a statement of that sort and compelled to ask for further clarity. What does he mean by he does not think that the coup of 1980 was necessary? Thank you very much.
Okay, so Dr. Towah, you got a question?
Yes, in fact, just that I just emphasize more on that. It was a rhetorical question, a rhetorical reflection to say that whether or not the coup of 1980 was necessary. So I threw it out to make a point. And the point I was trying to make is that, all of us know, and even in my own lifetime, I witnessed that. I was a little boy, wherein officials of government were filled to build roads, and then they would come to the county and expect people to tote them from town to town, their belongings and all of that. And we had a government wherein the natives, that the other 16 ethnic group didn't have a part. I mean, the other ethnic groups didn't have a fair share to participate. So no, I'm not that I'm regretting the coup. It was a rhetorical question that I was asking whether it was necessary, because the Samuel Doe and other people that put their lives at stake to effect the coup. or most of the writing that I'm seeing, even most of the public utterances, I don't see people giving any credit at all to these people that took this bold step in the face of the subjection and suffering of the masses. All that is being harmed in the process, they demean a whole ethnic group. That is the frustration for which I threw out this rhetorical observation. And not that I regretted that it could take place now, but that I think people who risked their lives, because if anything had gone wrong, all these people would have been executed. And they risked their life, and nobody saw anything good in them. But all that people talk about is negatives, and in the process, the ethnic group that majority of people came from is to make them to demean them. And I think that is unfortunate. And not necessarily the action taken to bring about a change.
Okay, all right, Dai. I guess we're going to leave it here. I want to thank you so much for taking off your time for us to have this sort of conversations, and whether even you back home or whatever you go back to your. Oh, let me see who this other caller. Hello, caller. Are you there? What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Taylor Dieyan. Yes, I'm there, Mr. So.
Okay, how are you, Taylor? Good afternoon. Go ahead quickly with your question.
All right. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Towah. Thank you for coming on the show. Let me pull. I need I got a little bit concerned. I need few clarity. If you don't mind, I'll let it do a photo. I want to go back to the Ecowas Code. I really wanted to find out what is the objectives and the functions of Ecowas Code. And the second question is, how many countries have a veto power on the Ecowas?
Okay, thank you. Let me go to him. I know he went into this extensively, but let me just go to him quickly now. All right.
Yes, I heard the question. So let me just go ahead because of time.
Yeah.
The objective of the Ecowas Code of Justice is to contribute to the good governance aspiration of the Ecowas sub-region. You can always say to a people, we don't want any coup because we want continuity of the governance structure. We don't want no disruption. But then you fail to address some of the underlying legal issues that may compel people to want to revert to armed struggle, where their rights, their fundamental human rights, are being trampled on by the power that be. So the role of the court is to provide an avenue wherein if citizens' fundamental human rights are trampled on by the authority of their respective countries, they can come to the court for redress. It's a court with court mandate on human rights. Now, the second question with regards to the objective of veto power, who have veto in ECOWAS? There's no country has veto in ECOWAS. Things are done with consensus. Of course, we know that ECOWAS, the big brother in the ECOWAS is Nigeria. But all countries have equal standing within the ECOWAS arrangement.
Okay, all right. I think we're going to leave it here today. The CDC-led governments, let me take it from your area, the public, but the policy prescription here, policy direction here. How do you think they are doing?
Well, I think the government is doing the best it can within its reach. Number one, I think what every government deserves is an enabling environment to function. With the help of ECOWAS and international community, this avenue has been provided. What is left now is for the government now to operate within the space it has by working with its own people.
Is that reach within its reach? That reach, do you think is it extended to the ordinary Liberian as well?
Well, I mean, the government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. So the government is the offspring of the people. It's a social contract. Now, now the government has, in terms of social control, the government has been given the mantle to administer the affairs. And so let's see. We are all watching to see whether the government performing, is succeeding, and where is it succeeding, and where is it performing at. And I think it become the position of every Liberian to speak about that. But I think the government deserves the opportunity, the space, and I think the government has the space. Okay. The international Ecowas, the international community is supporting. And I think the government has a space to do the best it can for the people of Liberia.
There are three branches of government on the basis of our constitution. The 103 men and women on Capitol Hill there, right? That's the legislative arm of government. We also should provide check and balances on the government. Are those people, when I saw what was happening in the crisis and lawmakers signing off for fabulous paycheck, ordinary doctors, nurses, and people in the front line providing services, and some of them could not take pay. Was that a good judgment on your part?
Well, let me say this. I have my own position when I was advisor to the Minister of Finance, wherein when the budget goes to the capital, and some people at the capital begin to look in the budget what is there for the legislature and how is it to be apportioned and all of that, and accrue certain things to themselves. I found out those. Well, and I think that the current president took the step he took to review some of the pays. The pay scale, I think, was good, and but it has to be fair. It has to be fair across the board. And so, to respond to that, I think there has to be equal pay for equal work.
Equal pay for equal work. Okay, Dr. Willand Dieyan Towah, a senior Liberian diplomat at the Ecowas. I want to thank you so much for taking out your time, tapping into your expertise, and we hope we're going to keep this sort of chain even. I pray and hope that this coronavirus, COVID-19 or whatever, make way so you will get back in Abuja or whatever to do what you do, to love what we're doing. So I want to thank you. What's your last word you're leaving with us here today?
Well, thank you, Brother Dieyan. So you and colleagues, please keep up the good work. That's it.
That's how I lost that when you talk to a diplomat. Keep it straight to the point. All right, I want to thank you so much. Hopefully, we will see you here. In fact, Ambassador Alson Yinambo has agreed to also, like I said, is all-star prominent Grandidian. And we want to do it to all of the 15 political subdivisions. Bring them here. The tendency, the idea, me, I will not talk. Yeah, when it become, I am trying to manage to prevent crisis. I do not want to manage crisis. And that's the purpose and the ultimate goal of the Liberia Public Radio. So we talk it, we see it, we talk it, we discuss it with civility, with respect, we agree and disagree, we argue our point, and come to a conclusion. That's how a nation prospers. So all of these people, the 15 political subdivisions, those that are contesting for state power to go on Capitol Hill, the reason they are interested in going to that Capitol Hill, I really want to know. Some of them are there and have talked to some here that they have not even produced a single legislation, but they are all involved in this non-for-profit. Why? Because they want people to be hanging behind them. Thousands of those cases you're talking about, they are there. We have a National Rehabilitation Commission. It is a state-owned entity that is there to rehabilitate these people. But guess what? Representatives, senators, all of them are trying to augment their political power. And so every individual now, they are involved. And that commission has gone in coma, is dead, no ventilation to resurrect it. And everybody now, all lawmakers, they are all NGO, Save the Children, to Medicine Sans Frontier. That is so ridiculous. And that's why we need to ask all of these people questions. Dr. Towah, thank you so much. It was a pleasure and honor having you here today.
Absolutely. So, thank you. But quickly, can I give you a little assignment?
Absolutely.
Please, can you try to speak with the folks at the Land Commission? Because one of the unfinished business from the 1980.
Let me mark it down right now. Look, these people, it's unfortunate that these people will call them, but when you call them, what usually they have their friends that will make phone calls And this is not a kind of person I am. And sometimes when they answer, okay, draw out the question. So send, how can I draw a question? You didn't tell me that to draw a question. I told you at least there was a little outline we're going to talk into. How can I do this? Is not 1980 ERTV, ERBC, Shaman Brand, yes or no. So if I draw a question and my audience needs to know a follow-up, then I'm not going to time myself. That's not possible. But we're going to do all of that. The land issue is very much serious. We're going to do that and see here at Land Commission. I'm going to
the reason why I brought this up is the unfinished business from 1980. One of the suppressing issue that affected the other ethnic group, the 15 ethnic group, besides the American-Liberian, is the manner in which land was acquired by this one ethnic group against majority, some of the people. You travel rural part of Monserrato, some part of Bond County. You'll see people, one person will own 300 acres, 600 acres of land, 1,000 acres of land to the family name, whereas some of the poor indigenous people, they are there, they have to work, some make farm and give produce to people. Their own land, because some presidents sit in a mansion, some relative of his carry they said my land here, sign land be out to them, and the indigenous people, the natives that own those land, even though some of the children today they are educated, but they don't have piece of land. But one person, one family will have almost 300,000 acres of land, 400,000, 600,000 acres of land. How did they get those land? They say because president in the mansion, they just carry the deed and president signed it. How did they get it? Wherein the citizens, the indigenous, they don't have access. You also
and moreover, the land, there's no investment on the land, so it's just there. It's a
they just expropriate the land to themselves, and whereas so they investigate into that. Okay. That is it's an unfinished matters. I want to speak about it, but I want to delve into it a little bit. It's something that is hurting a lot of people.
All right, definitely. So we're going to put grip on this yet. I want to do everything. Hopefully, the only thing I have to pray fast, because these people, they don't like to answer. They don't want to answer questions. They like people to serve them with breakfast, oatmeal, and I don't give people peanut butter and jelly here. I give people real hot pepper from the southeastern side of Liberia or either.
Stay blessed, my brother.
All right. Okay, that does it this evening here. Dr. Wallen Dieyan Towah is a senior fellow at the Ecowas community as a diplomat, joining us here on the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV, where it's better late than never. Welcoming my boss, one of my mentors, Minister Kai Gerald. That's folks, to all my onliners, those have been following us, those are called in to your good questions, your conversation, the civility that was maintained on this network that has been the traditions here at Liberia Public Radio, and we keep doing this what we are doing. I want to thank all of you so much for being here. I'm Alfonso Zian from the ocean state of Rhode Island, right here in the city of Pawtucket, the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio. I want to thank you so much. Join the Liberal Progressive tomorrow, Samson Branto. Sunday, on Sunday, yes. Sunday, going to be an all-star panelist, going to be drawing a team analyst for their views, for their opinions, people from Grand Gila County. It is quite fascinating, the audios and video that we have received from our sampling pool that we have done. What are they thinking on who they're going to be voting for? It is fascinating. You're going to be hearing that. We're going to be getting one from Sano. We're going to be getting from Nima, Batot, Vote Rich County. We're going to be getting some Bond County and across, and make sure we have there. Monday, I'm going to be having one of senatorial expiring for Sano County. You're going to be here at former development and former superintendent Thomas Kuyat are going to be here. Well, folks, I want to thank you so much for being here. That's how we're going to bring the curtain down here. Time check is 4:35 Eastern Standard Time. I'm Alfonso Zian, so have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.